your club photo.
Okay. All right, so I will record too, so if you got to go out for your picture and come back, because we're running low on students right now, but we just got to keep going. We got to keep going. All right, so whenever we multiply, okay, we did this on the warm-up by hand. I did it by hand specifically because this is what's coming up. If we multiply fractions, we just multiply straight across. Okay, so just A over B times C over D is going to be AC over BD, straight across. So if we want to simplify completely something like this, what we need to do for that is we need to factor everything out, and then it's just multiplied straight across so we can cancel things that are on top with things that are on bottom. Okay, so the factoring is what makes this tricky because some of us are stronger at factoring than others. So x squared plus 2x minus 8, we want to factor that into two sets of parentheses. And I've got an x squared, so I know that's going to be an x and an x. For that negative 8, I'm looking for numbers. I could multiply to get negative 8. That would be negative 2 and 4. Hello? Okay, thank you. All right, bye. All right. All right. She told me it's not working. And he's
30 minutes late. And was actually on time. Yeah, I would have been on time. Yeah, I walked outside and the door was locked, so I went to try to unlock it and the button wouldn't work. And then the whole truck starts. What's wrong with it?
all right.
The battery was light or something. So.
Okay, so x squared plus 2x minus 8. We need to get a positive 2 there in the middle. So which one of these should I choose? Negative 2 and 4. So I'm going to do a minus 2 and a plus 4. On the bottom, I'm going to factor. And I've got x squared plus 3x plus 3. So I'll have an x and an x. This time I need to multiply to get 3. The only thing I can multiply to get 3 is 3 and 1. So, and I want to use positives because I got a positive 4 in the middle. So I'll do plus 3, plus 1. Everybody okay there? All right. The second part doesn't really look like it can be factored.
Students who are in the Interact Club, to report to the front office for your club photo. That is the Interact Club.
All right, so for the numerator here, though, is there anything I could factor out of 3x plus 3? There is. There is a greatest common factor. I could pull a 3 out, so I could do 3, and now I would have x plus 1 for that. Sometimes it's hard to see that. The x minus 2 you can't do anything with. I am going to put it in parentheses, though. Okay, so to simplify here, like to multiply, I would just multiply straight across. So basically for multiplying problems, you can cancel anything on the top with anything on the bottom, even if they're not in the same fraction. So like this x minus 2 down here, I can cancel it with this x minus 2 over here. As long as one is in top and one is in bottom. What else do I have that will cancel? The x plus 1s can also cancel. Anything else? Okay. Could I cancel this 3 with this 3? No, it has to be the whole factor, right? So normally we like to write that 3 out front, so we'll have 3 times x plus 4 over x plus 3. And that would be how we would leave it. Just depending on the question, sometimes they'll distribute that 3 back, and they might write it like 3x plus 12 over x plus 3. It just depends on how they leave answer choices. If it's multiple choice, your assignment today will not be multiple choice, but you might see multiple choice on you probably will see multiple choice when we get to quiz time. Okay, and we'll quiz on this Friday. All right, questions so far? If you can factor, this should not be that bad. If you cannot factor, it's going to be painful because you have to be able to factor to be able to do these. So it's something to work on here if you're having trouble factoring. All right, so the next one, we got to simplify completely. We got x squared minus 9 over x squared plus 5x plus 6. So x squared minus 9, we're breaking it into two sets of parentheses. There is no greatest common factor there. I have an x and an x. This is one of those special cases where the middle number canceled out. So what numbers should I use? Not 1 and negative 9. I want to do negative 3, positive 3. Okay? Because negative 3, positive 3 will give me 0 in the middle, and that's what you want to have happen. Negative 1 and negative 9 would give me the negative 9, but it'll give me an 8 in the middle. Okay? Then I've got this one here, x squared plus 5x plus 6, so I'll have an x here and an x here. I need to multiply to get 6, which would be 2 times 3 or 1 times 6. And I need to add together to get 5, so which one should I use? 2 and 3. I'll have positive 2, positive 3. Everybody okay there? Can I factor x plus 2? I cannot. I am going to put some parentheses around it there. Can I factor 3x minus 9? What can I pull out? A 3. And that'll be an x minus 3. All right, so at this point, you're just going to start marking out things that cancel. So if I have a x plus 3 on top and an x plus 3 on bottom, it's gone. X minus 3 here, x minus 3 there, gone. X plus 2, x plus 2, gone.
Students who are in the journalism club should report to the office, please. Journalism.
Okay, so for this, almost everything canceled out, right? So have I got anything left in the top? What have I got to put there? 1. The 3, where does it go? On the bottom. There. If you don't have anything left in the top, you're going to put a 1.
If everything cancels out.
If everything else cancels out, yep. Yep, that's our final answer. So 1/3 would be your answer. Oh, let's see, did I add that to the, there's something I need to add to these notes, or did I do it next? Okay, all right, now, there's one thing that I have not made you do yet for these problems, and that is, there is an issue with these problems as far as some restricted values that you have. So I'm going to graph this on Desmos real quick. Let's just do that last one. Well, no, let's do the first one. It'll graph better. So I realize this is a mess. X to the second plus 2x minus 8 over x to the second plus 4x plus 3 times 3x plus 3 over x minus 2. And then for our answer on that one, we got y equals 3 times x plus 4 over x plus 3. Now, when I graph that, it looks exactly the same. And that kind of lets me know that I've not messed up anyway. But if I look at this graph right here, if I go to where x equals 2, if I'm looking at the original graph, oh, there it was. If I go to 2, I have an open circle right there. It's what we call a hole in the graph. I can't actually have 2 as a value. Same thing is going to happen if I go to -1. So if I go to -1 right here, if I can, sometimes it's hard to see. There's another hole in the graph right there. Now, if I graph this one, there's not going to be any holes. So like if I go to 2 there, it actually has a graph. If I go to -1 here, it actually has a value if I can ever get there. Yeah. So the blue graph doesn't have those holes. The red graph, the original graph, does have those holes in the graph. So whenever we look at these problems, what we're going to do for these problems is we're going to have to give some restricted values. Okay. It's just one little extra step that's really not that difficult. I'm not going to make us go back and do it on this problem. We're just going to start on the next one. All right, so restricted values are going to be any value that makes the denominator, what is the denominator? Bottom of the fraction equal to 0 is a restricted value. And you want to do this before you cancel things out. So on your assignment you're going to have, it's going to ask you to multiply. And I think I have the instructions telling you to state the restrictions. If I didn't, I do want you to do that. So do that if I didn't put that on there. But for example 3, we would need to factor first. So just like we did the last problem, we're going to factor like we did. So this first one here, I will have t and t. Oh, they gave us a big number. We got 84. 84. What can we multiply to get 84? 12 times 7. 12 plus 7
Students who are in National Honor
gives us
Society
19.
should report to the front desk for their club picture. National Honor Society.
All right, so 12 and 7 gives us 19, so there's no need to look any further for that. There's a lot of other numbers that would give you 84. You could try 2 and 42, but the one that gives you 19 is the 12 and 7. Okay. What about 4t minus 4? Can I factor that? GCF, we always have to look for, I could factor out a 4. So it'd be t minus 1 there. Is everybody with me here? What about the numerator of the second fraction, 2t minus 2? I can factor out a 2. And then I got to factor this denominator. So t squared is going to be a t and a t. I'm trying to get 14. So that could be 2 times 7, 1 times 14. I need positives. Which one would I pick? Plus 2 plus 7. Because 2 plus 7 would give me 9. I'm going to stop for a second. Make sure everybody's with me. Yes. Okay. All right, so for restricted values, I'm going to do this in a different color. Before you cancel anything out, restricted values. You are going to look at the denominator of the fractions, so the bottom of the fractions. Anything that makes the bottom of those fractions 0 cannot be a value that you have for this equation. So, is there anything that would make 4 equal to 0? There's not, right? Because it doesn't even have a variable. It's just 4. What about t minus 1? What makes that 0? Positive 1. So, t cannot equal positive 1. All right, what about t plus 2?
Students who are in National Technical Honor Society
t plus 2? What would make that 0? Negative 2. Right? Negative 2 plus 2 would be 0. What about t plus 7? Negative 7. So you guys see what's happening there? You're just using the opposite sign for those. We might get one that's a little more complicated. We'll talk about what to do when we get there. So for this equation, t cannot equal 1, negative 2, or 7 because it's going to give you 0 in the denominator of the fraction. And what happens when you have 0 in the denominator of a fraction if you try to divide by 0? You do not get 0. Try it in your calculator. Try to do like 10 divided by 0. Error. It does not work. Right? You cannot divide by 0. In first period, calculus has TI-89 calculators, and they get to take those home, and Lucian has ran over his calculator with his car. And Liam, apparently he set his book bag behind his car, I think. And then backed over it. He's going to owe a lot of money for that calculator.
Students who are in the, or on the Raider team, the JRTC Raider team, please come to the office.
Bro.
Yeah. But anyway, Liam, whenever he showed me his calculator and I asked what had happened to this calculator that had been ran over by a car, Liam said that Lucian tried to divide by 0, and I thought it was a funny joke because you can't divide by 0. I bet you guys would know not to divide. They should make a calculator that whenever you divide by 0, it like shocks you or something. You would learn really quick that you cannot divide by 0. Like if you're trying to do 3 divided by 0, that's undefined. You can't divide by 0. So if every time you type that into your calculator, 3 divided by 0, every time you hit enter, it like shocked you a little bit, you'd learn real quick. What about 0 divided by 3? What's that equal? That is 0. For that. Okay, now let's finish up this problem. Those are restricted values. Now I can cancel. When I cancel this x plus 7, can cancel this x plus 7. This t minus 1 can cancel with this t minus 1. Does anything else cancel? No. What about this 2 and this 2? Can I mark them out? No, because this is part of a factor that has a plus or minus with it, so I can't cancel those. Now, if there was a 2 over here, I could. Oh, wait, there is one more thing. Let's look for our just constant values, this 2 and this 4. That will reduce, right? I could reduce those. In fact, I'm going to write it as a separate step, though. Let's do it this way. I'm going to have 2 times t plus 12 over 4 times t plus 2. So when you get to this point, those coefficients that are out front, if they will reduce, you can reduce them. And they do reduce in this case. So you would have, it's going to be 1/2. So you got 1 times t plus 12 over 2 times t plus 2. Probably they won't write that 1. It'll probably look like this. T plus 12 over 2 times t plus 2. There. So this is probably how it'll look. And your restricted values are over here. So if you wait till you cancel, it would look like -2 is only a restricted value. So you have to say restricted values before you cancel.
Students who are members of the Quiz Bowl, you should report to the office for your club photos.
That's my club. They participate. Yeah, they participate in the Quiz Bowl competition, which is basically like a competition. You go, they ask a bunch of questions. If you get them right, you get points. It's fun.
I went through those calculators that you ran over.
About $130, $140. Yeah. If you want to be an engineer, you have to buy one for college. The calculator's right there, cost $100. It will do a lot of things that it has the computer algebra system and will do a lot of things that it will not. Like, for example, if you want to simplify this in the TI-89, you can choose something that says simplify and type that in and it'll do it for you. The 84 will not. If you want to solve an equation, you can type the equation in until it's solved and it will solve it for you. You don't have to do it by hand. So you are not allowed to use the TI-89 in this class or on this exam for that reason, because it'll do a lot of things for you that you're supposed to know how to do otherwise. So,
Oh, really?
yeah. But in calculus, you can use
What
it.
if I like got one and like this guy did?
It's not the easiest to use. You would have to learn how to use it. You might get away with it. You wouldn't get away with it on the exam. I'd have to check calculators on the exam.
There's like a mountain on it.
Hmm?
There's like a chart.
Yeah. They're pretty cool. Like, I mean, they are pretty cool. I'll just show you. Just so you see. I think they're kind of cool, so I'm going to show this one to you. They look like the other calculators, but
There's like no numbers on it.
there's numbers on it.
I can see numbers.
Here's
Yeah, I see it now.
here's a. If you do, they look pretty much the same, but the buttons are different. So, like, for example, if I wanted to do the next problem, it's kind of small, you can't see it. If I want to do the next problem, these calculators, I can tell it, oh, what do I?
Wait, does it even have the guide on up there?
Does expand work? I think so.
We didn't even know we didn't even have a uniform. We didn't even have a craft.
Students who are members of the Save Club. Members of the Save Club should report to the front office for your club photos.
Let's see if that works. Missing a... Oh, it did it. Actually, this one did it a little bit differently. It will do this, like if you want to factor. You guys don't think this is cool as I do. Like if I want to factor x squared plus x minus 6, it will factor it for you. X minus 2x plus 3. So, all right. It'll do a lot of things that you cannot do. All right. Let's look at 4. All right. Anissa, how would I factor that first part right there? X squared plus x minus 6. Good?
Then 3 and -3.
Okay. Pause. No.
The x says,
I need to get negative 6. So, 2 and negative 3?
No, -3 and 2. Sorry. -3 and 2. -2 and 3.
Negative 2, positive 3. Alright. So, I'll put positive 3 here, negative 2 here. Or the other way around. Okay. Will x minus 5 factor? No. Let's put it in some parentheses, though. Alright. Let's see. Easton, how about x squared minus 25? Negative 5 and 5. So we'll have x plus 5, x minus 5. Okay. Shay, what about the x squared plus 4x plus 3? I'll have an x and an x here. You're multiplying to get the last, so you're trying to multiply to get 3, which is only 1 and 3 are the only numbers you can multiply to get 3. All right, and then they've got to add together to give you 4, which they do. positive 1 and positive 3. Okay, everybody okay there? Now, we do want to do restricted values before we cancel, or you'll miss some of them. So we are looking at the denominators. You cannot have a 0 in the denominator. So, x minus 5. Jason, what would make that 0? Positive 5. So, x cannot equal positive 5.
Students who are members of the student council should report to the office for your club photos. Student council.
All right, Wade, x plus 1. What will make x plus 1 equal to 0? What number can we not have there? Negative 1. Very good. Drew, what about x plus 3? You will say x cannot equal negative 3. Yeah. There. So we want to do that before we start canceling. Now we can cancel. I've got x plus 3 on top, x plus 3 on bottom. Those cancel. I've got x minus 5 here and x minus 5 on top. Those cancel. So I'm going to have in the top x minus 2 times x plus 5 over x plus 1. Okay, here. Now, you may see the answers being multiplied back together. Sometimes they'll leave it like this, or they might multiply that top part together. Do we remember how to do that? Okay? If I want to multiply this together, I have to distribute the x. So I would have x squared plus 5x. And I'll have negative 2x minus 10 over x plus 1, which would simplify to x squared plus 3x minus 10 over x plus 1. There. So it could be either one of these there. So I can't remember what they do on the answer choices, if they simplify it and leave it factored or if they multiply it back together. But when you're checking the answer key, you can see which one it is. All right, questions there? All right, dividing fractions. It's easy as pie. Flip the second and multiply. So, you can factor it before you flip it. You can factor it after you flip it. It does not matter. You can do both at the same time. Just be careful if you do that, okay? So, the first fraction does not change. It stays the same. A plus 2 over A plus 3. Okay? Then, you are going to flip the second fraction. So, you've got A squared minus 9 over A squared plus A minus 12. Okay? Now, it is just a multiplication problem like the other ones we have done. Right? So, keep the first fraction the same, flip the second fraction, then it's like the others we have done. So, A plus 2 won't factor. A plus 3 will not factor. I'll put it in parentheses. So. All right, Carlos, how would I factor A squared minus 9? Negative 3 and positive 3. So A plus 3, A minus 3. Okay. Let's see. Katie, up here, how do I factor A squared plus A minus 12? What numbers could I multiply to get? Okay, 4 and 3 is what I want to use. To get a negative 12, one of those has got to be negative.
Students who are
Good.
members of
Positive
the
4.
Trailblazers Club should report to the office. The Trailblazers Club.
Positive 4, negative 3. That gives me the positive 1 that's right there in the middle. So positive 4, negative 3. Okay, we need to do our restricted values. Now, there is a little bit of a twist for the restricted values for this. We're going to look at the denominator. So I got a plus 3, so restrictions. A cannot equal negative 3, because I've got that a plus 3 right there. I've got a plus 4, that means a cannot equal negative 4. And I've got a minus 3, that means a cannot equal positive 3. Now, for the division problems, the denominator here was the numerator over here, right? So the numerator right here was the denominator whenever it was over here.
Students who are members of the Triton Music Honor Society, please come to the office.
So you also need to check the top of this fraction because you can't have zeros in the denominator at any point. The only one here that does not give you a restriction is that top left corner because it is a numerator and was a numerator the whole time. Now, for this one, you got an a plus 3 and an a minus 3, which we've already got those restrictions, so we don't have to list them again for that. So it wouldn't make a difference if you forgot that on this problem. We need to cancel. We got a plus 3s that cancel. We got a minus 3s that cancel. We are going to get a plus 2 over a plus 4. Can I reduce that 2 and 4? 2 over 4 does reduce, but I cannot reduce them because what are they separated from everything else by? Plus signs, right? So on that other problem where we did reduce the 2 and 4, it was because that was multiplied. You can only do that like if I had a number, if I had a 2 times x plus 2 over 4 times x plus 4, I could reduce these numbers right here, but you cannot reduce the ones inside of the factors there. So that's not really for this problem, but can't do it. All right, questions on that one? All right, let's keep going so you got some time to do your work. All right, so simplify completely. State all restrictions. Now, this looks complicated. This is what we call a complex fraction. It's got fractions inside of fractions. It's like your worst nightmare of fractions, right? But these two right here are the top fraction. That's your first fraction. These two right here are the bottom. So we are going to flip the second and multiply. The top is your first, so you leave it the same. B squared over 25 a squared minus b squared times, and you got to flip that bottom fraction. So you got 5a minus b over just the b. So we were just taking the top. It goes over here and stays the same. We take this one, we flip these two, and then that goes over here. Okay. All right. There's really only one thing that will factor here. B squared does not factor. Can I cancel the b squared with this b squared? That'd be nice. It feels like it should. You cannot, because b squared is separated from the other stuff down here with a minus sign. It's got to be multiplied for you to be able to cancel. So you can't cancel there for those. So nothing will factor except for the denominator of this problem right here. So we're going to have b squared over, now this one's a little bit trickier to factor. I have 25a squared. What can I multiply together to get 25a squared? 5a and 5a. So 5a goes here, 5a goes here. Okay? Then I got, over here I got a negative b squared. Alright, to get negative b squared, only thing I can use is a negative b times a positive b, which will give me a 0 in the middle, so that's what I want to use, negative b, positive b. Now, I'm going to erase this right here because that is in my way. And then I'm going to write this one down, 5a minus b over b. It does want restrictions on this, which are a little bit weird. Okay, you're looking at the denominators, they cannot equal 0. Now, so I've got b cannot equal 0 because that b can't be a 0. That one's not bad. The others are weird because you got an a and a b. You can't really like say one number. So what you want to do for that is you just want to say 5a minus b cannot equal 0 and 5a plus b cannot equal 0 for that. So just say that whole factor cannot equal 0. You can't really solve it necessarily for that. Okay. I do have one thing that will cancel. That 5a minus b can cancel with 5a minus b here. That will give me b squared over b times 5a plus b. Is there anything else that can reduce? There is, or I would not be pausing so long, right? Yeah, so that top can be like b times b, right? And then I've got this b times 5a plus b. So I can't cancel, I can't cancel this b with this b because that's got addition next to it. But this b right here is multiplied by everything else, so I can cancel it with one of these b's on top. And that will give me b over 5a plus b. And that would be my answer for that problem. Okay, questions? All right. This is more of the same. I'm going to skip those so that's the last one, right? No, what else have I got? 2 more. Let me see if I need to do what's on last. Oh, gosh. I gave you all a lot. Let's do 10. Okay, so skip on ahead to 10 because I want you guys to have a little time to work. So we're not going to do all of these. So, now, is there something I can do with that numerator of the first fraction on number 10? What can I do? I could divide it by 3, what else? 3x squared. So that has the greatest common factor. I'm going to take out a 3x squared. So if I divide this by 3x squared, I would just have an x left. If I divide this by 3x squared, I would have a 9. We okay there? All right, can I factor x plus 9? If it was x squared, I could do something with it, but it's just an x, so I cannot do anything there. There's no greatest common factor. I can't do anything with a 9, it's just a number. The 3x squared, can't really do anything with it either. But this is going to give me some stuff that can cancel, right? Well, let me do restricted values first. I didn't put it on these directions, but I do want them. So our restrictions here, what can x not equal? Negative 9. What else? What would make 3x squared 0? if I got 3x squared equal to 0, I could divide by 3, right? That would just be, what is 0 divided by 3? That's 0. And then I could square root. What's the square root of 0? 0, so it's just 0. All right. Anytime you have just a number like that, multiplied by x, it's not like a plus or minus anything. It's just going to be a 0 for that. So that's the restrictions. Now I can cancel. My x plus 9s cancel. What else can cancel? The 3's can cancel. The x squareds can cancel. You can think of those separately because maybe sometimes you got a 3 and a 7, but the x squareds can cancel because all that's multiplied together. All right, so I got nothing left but the 9. It's on the top. I don't have to put anything on the bottom. If you wanted to, you could put a 1, but it looks better if you just put the 9 because if you're missing something in the top, you got to put a 1 there. If it's missing in the bottom, you don't have to put the 1. You could, and it's still right. But. Okay, is that good? Let me see if there's anything over here I feel like we need to look at for sure. It's kind of more of the same. Well, no, let's do 12. We're going to do 12, and then we'll let you guys get to work. All right, you really can't factor much of this. Yes, go ahead. You really can't factor much of this except for that denominator of the first fraction. How do I factor that?
Wait, what?
For number 12, how could I factor the 7x to the third? I can pull out a 7x squared. All right? So that's just going to give me, when I divide this by 7x squared, that's just going to be a 1x. And then I'm dividing this by 7x squared. The x squared just go away. 49 divided by 7 gives me 7. All right, now this is a division problem. So dividing fractions is easy as pie. I have to flip the second and multiply. So my 7x squared is going to go on top. My 4x will be on bottom. So what do you guys see that can cancel? All right, so you can think of the numbers separately from the letters. This 7 can cancel with this 7. This x squared can cancel with this x squared. Or it could cancel with that x squared, either one. The 4 can cancel with the 4. I've got 2 x's up here, and I've only got 1 x down here. But one of them can cancel, right? So I could cancel this x with one of these up here that would just make that x to the first power. So that will give you x over x plus 7. I should have done restrictions. Restrictions for that. So if I look at my denominators, that 7x squared, that's going to be an x cannot equal 0. The x plus 7, that's going to be an x cannot equal negative 7. The 4x is just another 0. The 7x squared is just another 0. So those are my 2 restrictions there. Okay. All right, questions? All right, let's
Get started here.
I made this worksheet long in case we needed extra practice, so we are just going to do the odds problems on this. So, we are just going to do the odds. You do not have to do all of these. This particular worksheet says to simplify and state the excluded values. The excluded values are your restrictions. It's just another way of asking that same thing. Yeah. Only have to do the odds. Now, when you do pull this up, The first ones are maybe a little simpler than what we did. Let's see, where is it at? So I can put it here. So when you look at, I'm not going to do the ones you have to do, but like whenever you look at one like this, you may not see a lot. Actually, I don't know if that one's got anything to cancel. Let's not do that one. Like for this one here, for number 4, you could mark out this N and this N. That would give you 5 times 10 is 50. 3 times 7 is 21 N. But you want to see if you can reduce that. And actually, I don't know if that one will reduce. No, that one doesn't reduce, so you just leave it like that. But some of these will reduce, like, for example, number 1 will for that. So if you have a fraction, reduce it. Number 5 or number 6, let's look at 6. They've already factored those for you. So, like, you could go just ahead and start marking stuff out because it's already factored. So, yeah, you got the 6n squared cancels the 6n squared. The n minus 10 cancels the n minus 10. That is just going to give you 2 over 10, which reduces to 1 over 5. All right, so some of those are already factored. Those should be faster. Then you're going to get towards the end, you'll get the ones you got factored like we did. Yes. Odd. Yeah, I was just doing a couple to show you what you were doing. Yeah, I realize I'm doing the even problems there.